How's it going, everyone? Hope everybody is all good. Right, video today. I want to talk about the last diet phase that I done. I finished in November. I got ready for a photo shoot. I got to the leanest physique I've ever had in my life. I haven't documented this with a video like this, so I wanted to walk you through it all, how I done it, my whole thinking behind things, and if there's anything you can maybe take from this and implement with your own diet phase, hopefully it helps you out. But just to caveat that as well, a lot of this is individual to me, so just you can't translate everything directly over to you as an individual. But I just wanted to walk you through my thinking with a fat loss phase, and there will be things you can take from this and utilize yourself, but not everything, which is pretty obvious in terms of like calories and depending on the size of the individual and expenditure, of course. But let's get into what we've got, right? So I went the start phase. I was the end of the bulk around 109 kilo, and again I'm 6'4", so 6'4", 109 kilo, and I got down to 90 kilo. So that was 19 kilo off within a 25-week time frame. So it wasn't a short diet. It wasn't something which was going to last 10 weeks. I knew from the get-go I was taking this all the way there. I was getting, peeled for a photo shoot, not stage lean. That's another level below this, which I'll be doing next year. But this was getting really legitimately lean for a photo shoot. So 109 to 90 kilo in 25 weeks. So I knew from the off where I was headed and where I was going, right? So the way I wanted to do it up front, I knew I was going to have around a 25-week time frame, so I wanted to chunk it down into 8-week blocks, right? And I wanted to be pretty aggressive. Again, no messing around with this. I wanted to be 8 weeks aggressive, losing as much fat as I could while maintaining all the muscle tissue. And then every 8 weeks, what I used to do was a deloading diet break. Every 8 weeks, so after 8 weeks of hard training, hard dieting, again, no slip-ups, none of that. It was 8 weeks of continuous work, and then every 9th week, I would have a deload and a diet break. So I would drop off fatigue from training. Training would be easy for a week. I'd drop off fatigue from inside the gym, and I'd also raise my calories up to maintenance for a week, just to halt the brakes hard and really fill up that recovery bucket to then push hard for another 8 weeks. So this wasn't 25 weeks of just straight dieting and digging a hole. It was strategic. An 8-week push, we pulled back for a week. Another 8-week push, pulled back for a week. 8-week push, and I'd done that. There was basically 3 times to get to my desired leanness. So let me just give you an idea of the calories and macros that I was on. So you'll see here, I was on 2,700 calories. From the off, I started 2,700 calories. Now, my maintenance, around 3,700, give or take, in that range. So you can see, in order for me to maintain my body weight, I need to eat a fair amount of food. There's a lot of people watching this that will probably be bulking on that calories, but I can diet on that. That's just because of my size. Again, I'm quite tall, got a lot of mass on me, and my expenditure is quite high, so that's why I need those calories. So calories were 2,700, protein was 270, carbs were 300, and fat was 50. Again, I like to keep protein a little bit higher than 1 gram per pound of body weight. I like to keep carbs as high as possible for performance retention in the gym, which is super, super important. And then fats, I keep them as low as I possibly can, just around 50 grams, but I don't want to tank them any lower because, again, can have a negative impact on testosterone and hormonal profile, especially for males. So I just want a minimum level of fat just to tick me over, and the rest of the calories are coming from carbs and protein, right? So that's how I was going about it, and my macros and the calories didn't change throughout. From week 1 to week 25, they stayed the same. Didn't have to alter them at all, but what did change was steps and expenditure, which I will get into in a minute. But again, we were chunking it down into 8-week blocks, right? So initially up front, the first 15, 16 weeks were pretty easy. Because I have more body fat to lose, initially up front, you're not getting into the danger zone or the alarm bells not ringing with the body. I was pretty fine for the first 15, 16 weeks. So I went from 109 to 95, losing 1% of body weight weekly. So that was the first 16, 17 week stint. No problem, that was fine. It really started to bite and I really started to feel the effects, it was more so this final 8-week push, so that 95 kilo to 90 kilo drop, and that's where the rate of loss slowed down. It slowed down from maybe closer to 1% of body weight for the first 16 weeks that I was dropping off each week. It slowed down to around 0.7, which is natural as you get leaner and your metabolism is going to slow down. It's going to try and keep you safe. It wants you to survive. You know, that's the body is always chasing homeostasis. So as you start to get really lean and you're getting peeled, it's going to slow down. So this is where it really started to bite. It was that 95 to 90 kilo range, and that final 5 kilo of fat loss, that took me 8 weeks to get down to where I needed to be. So yeah, the end, the home stretch, that is what really bit me on the ass. Again, that's to be expected at some point. Now, in terms of training, the way I was training all the way throughout the duration of this diet, it was on a push-pull leg split. I was training 4 days a week, but I was hitting every muscle group once every 5 days. So it was a 10-day split. And if you want to know more about the push-pull leg split, go back and look at a couple of videos that I made about 3 months ago. And I'm walking you through the push-pull leg split, pretty much identical to what I ran here. Hitting every muscle group once every 5 days, slightly different than what I run now with an upper lower. But a big benefit of this, a push-pull leg split, now hitting every muscle group every 5 days, I'm getting more than enough recovery in between sessions. So I was going into every session, every muscle was 100% fresh every time I was going into it. Now, that was allowing me better performance and standing a better chance at muscle retention, because holding on to muscle tissue and retaining muscle tissue, right? It's a lot easier and doesn't require as much work as building new muscle tissue. So when you're in a building phase, it's slightly different, right? In a diet phase, it's a lot, not that it's not difficult, but it's easier in terms of how many sets that you need and the stimulus that you need to provide to retain your muscle tissue. So I could afford to have a little bit more recovery and rest in between sessions. That's why it was on a push-pull leg split then, instead of maybe an upper-lower split that I'm running right now. So that's the way I trained all the way throughout the diet. Push-pull legs worked great, didn't lose any muscle tissue, retained a lot of strength. So again, proof is in the pudding with that one. Another big one, pre and intra-workout carbs. It was around 200 grams of carbs. I was probably having around 160 grams of carbs in a pre-workout meal. And then I was drinking 40 grams of carbohydrates intra-training. So if you look at my calories and macros here, I was having 300 grams of carbs in a day, and I was having 200 of those around that workout window and in that pre and intra. So that's around 60-70% of my total daily carbs, all biased around that training session. That's when you need it. That's when you need your fuel most. It would make no sense for me to be going in the gym on 50 grams of carbs and then saving 250 for the night. Why would I do that? I don't need those carbs sitting on my ass at night. I need them around this workout window. So that's a big tip for everyone watching this. When you're in your diet phase with your carbohydrates, bias as many as you can, obviously within reason, around your pre and intra workout, because that's when you need it most. More fuel that you've got, better performance, better chance of muscle retention. It's a no-brainer, right? Worked tremendously well for me, especially towards the end. You start to notice that last 8-week push, when you're really on low body fat levels, on low fuel, that's even more important, right? Now, another big thing, why did my calories and macros stay the exact same? I didn't need to alter them. What I did need to alter though was my expenditure. Now, I was burning so many calories on 10k steps a day. That was lasting me for the first 8-week block. The second 8-week block, I needed to bump up to 12k steps daily. And for this final, the 95 to 90 kilo drop, that final 8-week stint, I needed to bump to 15k steps. This was all at increasing energy expenditure and increasing calorie burn. So from 10k for the first 8-week stint, 12k was the second 8-week stint, and the final 8-week stint was 15k. So that allowed me just to keep my macros the same and eat as much food as possible. That's what I wanted. I could have dropped calories and maybe stayed at 10k. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to eat as much food as I possibly could and just bump expenditure up. And again, towards the end, I was dragging my feet. The last couple of weeks here, when I was getting those 15k steps in, it was tough. It felt like I had a hoodie on and someone was just constantly pulling me back. I was dead on my feet at a certain stage, but that's part of the game at a certain level of leanness. And then the final point, I can't end the video without saying this. All of this ruthless consistency. Did not miss a single day of steps. There wasn't a day where I didn't hit me calories and macros to a T. There was no cheat meals. There was no bollocks, no off-plan meals. There was no days where I fucked up. It was just relentless. Every day was box ticked, done exactly what I needed to do. And I'll put the photos side by side now. You know, that's where I started off. That was the start of the diet phase, and this is where I ended up now. And I'll put a couple of photos now of the photo shoot, so you can see. But yeah, it was all worth it. But yeah, that was the process. That's how I done it. And the next big diet phase that we go on, that is going to be when I prep for stage. And again, we'll be getting even leaner than this 90 kilo stage. I probably have to be getting closer to maybe 86, 87. But again, we can get into all that in future videos, and I'm looking forward to taking you along the journey for when I do step on stage. But I wanted to give you a little bit of an insight on how I set up the last diet, and what can be a smart strategy to go about it is pacing yourself in blocks and stints and bringing in these diet breaks and deloads. They work tremendously well. Okay, so again, hope you all enjoyed the video. Any comments, any questions you have, drop them down below. Again, if anybody is interested in online coaching and getting some personal help with your own diet phase or your own training, whatever you need, let me know and I'll get you sorted out. All right. But again, thanks for all the support, everyone. Drop a like down below. Speak to you all in the next one.